You know, as we think about this month of January, I thought we would start at the very beginning. We would start with the first day of January. What happens on the first day of January? New year, new chapter. So I wanted us to begin with a poem today about New Year's. Happy New Year. Brush away old heartaches and learn from our mistakes. Another year is finally over and a new dawn awakes. Let the old year out and welcome the new one in. Bury the bad things of the past as a new year now begins. Make your New Year wishes as simple as you can. We hope for peace and love, not for wealth or fame. As the midnight hour chimes, we leave the old and embrace the new. I wish the things you wish for yourself, and may love stay with you. Happy New Year.
Very nice. Very nice.
You know, I got to thinking about New Year, the New Year and New Year's Day and traditions and maybe even some superstitions that we might sometimes have when it comes to New Year's Day. And I just wondered, where do we get those and what do other countries do? I know what we do here in the South. My family, even still today, on New Year's Day, we eat special foods. We eat black-eyed peas.
Amen.
We eat greens, and we have cornbread. And I thought, well, why do we do that? You know, I just did it because that's why my mom and daddy did it.
Because I'm not from the South.
Their mom and daddy did it. So I did some investigating and found out some interesting things about New Year's Day traditions. For us here in the South, that food we eat, it all goes back to hoping that we're going to get rich in the new year. The black-eyed peas stand for coins, for pennies, for nickels, for dimes. The greens stand for the paper money, the dollar bills and the $5 bills. The cornbread stands for gold. So people thought that if they ate those foods, they would get rich. How about that? I wish that were true. Don't you all? I wish that just eating those foods would allow us to get money. Please come on in, friends. Come on in and sit down and join us. We are just getting started with our story time. I'm from the library. Welcome. So glad to have you. Well, I got to thinking about, what are some other things that people do around the United States and around the world? Now, I know that you are from the West Coast. Did you all do anything special for New Year's Eve or New Year's Day?
I remember for New Year's Day, and I never went to a party on New Year's Eve.
A lot of people do, don't they?
They had parties.
Oh yes, New Year's Eve's parties. A lot of people even do that now. And when they go to a New Year's Eve party, there is one song in particular that a lot of people like to sing.
Yeah, old days.
Oh, we're going to sing that today. I brought the music and we're going to sing that to start the new year. Well, I wanted to share with you some other traditions or superstitions that people all over the world do, and some of them are really very funny. For instance, some people believe don't sweep the floor during the first day of the new year, or you may sweep out all your good luck. If the first animal that you hear on New Year's Day is a rooster, the harvest will be poor for the whole year. The first visitor on New Year's Day brings either good luck or bad luck, depending on if that person's a good person or a bad person. So a lot of people will invite a very important or respected person to their house to bring them good luck. Now, this is interesting, and I do not want you to answer this, but Italians wear red underwear on New Year's Day for good luck. I do not want to know what color your underwear is. I do not want to know what brings you good luck. And I would not want to ask Italians what color their underwear is, but supposedly they wear red underwear for good luck. People in Naples, Italy, they throw out pots and pans and sometimes furniture out their windows in order to get rid of the old or bad luck and bring in the new. I would not want to be walking on the streets of Naples, Italy on New Year's Day for fear something might hit me coming out of the window. Puerto Rican children throw pails of water out the windows to get rid of evil spirits. And the Swiss let a drop of cream hit the floor on New Year's Day for good luck. Well, I thought that was kind of interesting just to think about what people in other parts of the world do on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Well, as I said, you all guessed for me that the song that is very, very famous, Auld Lang Syne, and I thought that might be fun if we sing that together today. Now, I know January is almost over, but I still thought it might be fun for us to sing, and I brought the words for us too. Do any of you all need the words to sing just the chorus for? Okay, very good. Let's try it, okay? Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of Auld Lang Syne? For Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. Very good, very good. Well, you already know the words of Auld Lang Syne literally mean old, long since, old times. It makes us think back to friendships. And as we said, it comes from the Scottish language. It all started with Robert Burns, the national poet of Scotland. He wrote this poem, Auld Lang Syne, the one that we've all come to know, back in 1788. The final day of the year. It's an apt time to look back at the days of the past. And that makes the theme, Auld Lang Syne, so perfect for New Year's. Well, how in the world did we get that old Scottish poem and song from Scotland here to America? Well, one of the reasons that Auld Lang Syne made it into the New Year's Eve lore is because of television. A popular New Year's Eve broadcast on radio first, back in 1929, and then in television, was hosted by Guy Lombardo. Now, how many of you all remember watching Guy Lombardo on New Year's Eve? I do. I remember growing up doing that. He and his orchestra, the Royal Canadians, were on either radio or TV from 1929 to 1976. And he came to be known as Mr. New Year's Eve. He is responsible for introducing us to Auld Lang Syne and people singing it with him on the TV and then at their parties as well. If anything can make an 18th century Scottish song popular in the modern era, it is truly the power of television, isn't it? Television can do anything for us. I want to ask you all now, do any of you all have any New Year's Eve or New Year's Day traditions that you all can remember? You ate black-eyed peas also. That's right. Again, because of that money, we hoped that we would get some money, right? Did somebody else say something? Another tradition?
I said, if we have
Right. Well,
Well, being from Seattle, we do not eat black-eyed peas.
Uh-huh. Well, have you since learned to like black-eyed peas?
Yes.
Yes.
My grandmother, for some reason, always for New Year's Day dinner had goose.
Really?
And that's usually what the English eat on Christmas.
That's interesting. She said that her grandmother would have goose on New Year's Day. That's very interesting, huh? Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the month of January. What all happens? What happens? What fun things besides New Year's Day? What famous birthdays happen in January? Well, it's the first month of the Gregorian calendar, 31 days. Here we are on Monday, January the 23rd. Well, this is our last full week of the month of January. Is it hard for you to believe that we're already almost at the end of the month of January? Time flies by, doesn't it? It sure does. The name January comes from Janus, the Roman god of passage and new beginnings. It's related to the word janitor, which initially meant keeper of the gate. I want to show you a picture. That Roman god, Janus, is depicted by two heads, one looking forward and one looking backward. And isn't that kind of what we do in January? We look back at the old year, and then we look ahead to the new year. According to tradition, the birthstone for January is the garnet, the beautiful red stone, the garnet, representing love and friendship. And it is said, some people believe that if you wear a garnet necklace or a ring or a bracelet, it will protect you from evil spirits. And if you're sick, it will make you healthy again. Hadn't heard about that. It was viewed and is viewed as a symbol of love and friendship and a way to promote protection and healing. The flowers for January are the carnation. Of course, we all know about those. But another flower that is represented in January, hi, good afternoon, is the snowdrop. It looks like a crocus, doesn't it? But this is called the snowdrop. Yes,
It's hard for us to understand about snowdrops. We're in the South.
That's right. Well, it's the earliest garden flower to bloom when it blooms in January. It emerges in late winter or early spring. And the reason they call it the snowdrop is sometimes because it'll pop up when there's still snow on the ground. But you're right, we don't get a lot of snow, do we? No.
Wish we did.
Well, how about birthdays? Now, does anybody here have a birthday during the month of January? No January birthdays.
I don't even know anybody that has.
Okay, well, a lot of famous people, their birthdays in January. Martin Luther King, of course, we just celebrated his day last Monday.
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin, the great inventor, his birthday is in January. Betsy Ross, who supposedly sewed our flag. Elvis Presley, his birthday is in January, was in January. Muhammad Ali, do you all remember him, the great boxer? His birthday's in January.
Yeah, Cassius Clay.
Yes. How about that famous actress, beloved Betty White? Do you all remember Betty White from Mary Tyler Moore and Golden Girls? Her birthday was in January. And President Franklin D. Roosevelt, his birthday was in January.
Didn't know that.
I want to read you another poem about January. January now is here, a fine new start for a whole new year. The snow comes down in the dark of night. When we awake, the world is white. In January, when there's snow, we get our sleds and away we go. Now, we don't do that so much in the South, do we?
No.
But boy, if we do get a snow, don't we have a good time? Oh my goodness. Can you remember it being so funny? If they even predicted snow, people were running out to get milk and bread, and the children just couldn't wait for it to snow. to get to stay home from school. I can remember a few times, can you all, when it did snow here in the South, and what fun it was, as long as we didn't have to drive in. I don't know about you all, but I don't enjoy driving in the snow. Well, you know,
Ice is worse, so. Ice is worse.
oh, ice, you're right. It sure is. It sure is.
We've had an ice storm.
Yes, and we've had those here too. We sure have. Well, if you've come to my story time before, you know that I really enjoy pop-up books. And I want to share one with you this afternoon called Winter. And I know it's a children's book, but I don't know about you all, but I like children's books. I enjoy children's, and these pop-up books, I just think they're the most fun.
They are.
The winter day is bright and cold. Snowflakes fall from the sky, covering the sleepy earth in white. Who is awake and who is asleep? You see the owls in the tree?
Who's asleep?
Who is peeking and what do they see? The earth rests waiting for spring. And in the winter season we are, aren't we? How many of you all like the winter season? How many is that your favorite season? Why? Why do you like the winter?
My birthday's in December.
Okay.
13th.
All righty. So that's why you like the winter time. Anybody else? Winter's your favorite season?
Well, it's Jesus' birthday.
Right. That's absolutely right. Well, I like each season. But I kind of think that I like fall and winter a little bit better because I like the cooler temperatures. Summer is hard for me. It's hot. It's very hot.
Well, that's why I like Seattle.
Right.
Because it wasn't so hot.
Right. Well, as we think about the winter season, I couldn't not share one of my favorite poems that talks about winter. This is a picture of Robert Frost.
He needs some sleep.
Well, we all can from time to time, right? I wanted us to read together. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Robert Frost, and then I wanted us to read his poem together. I brought copies of it. One of my favorite poets is the beloved American Robert Frost. And, you know, a lot of his poetry centers on things and places in New England, and I just assumed that's where Robert Frost was from. But actually, he was born in San Francisco in March of 1874.
Oh.
But when his father died, when he was 10 years old, they all moved back, his mother and brothers and sisters, they moved back to Massachusetts to be closer to his mother's family. Now, he tried attending, as he grew up, he tried attending college. He went to Dartmouth and Harvard, but he never graduated from college. But later in life, he received more than 40 honorary degrees from colleges because of his poetry. When he was 20 years old in 1894, he sold his first poem for $14. Back then, in today's money, that would be over $500. He married and had 6 children, and during his lifetime, he mostly lived in the New England area. For his poems, he was nominated 31 times for the Nobel Prize in Literature. He won 4 Pulitzer Prizes over 3 decades, and in 1960, he was awarded a U.S. Congressional Gold Medal. And when they awarded it to him, they said this: in recognition of his poetry, which has enriched the culture of the United States and the philosophy of the world. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening is one of his most popular poems. I like to read this poem in the month of January. It's one of my favorites, so I'll read it for us today. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Sound familiar? Do you all remember hearing that poem? Yes. Well, I want to show you a picture of where Robert Frost lived and where he wrote this poem. Now, here's what's interesting about this poem and his writing it. He was living on a farm in Shaftesbury, Vermont. That's where this farmhouse is, when he wrote this poem. And guess what time of year he wrote the poem? You know, in my mind, I would have thought wintertime. That's what the poem is about. He wrote it in a hot summer morning in June of 1922 at his dining room table. Can you imagine writing that beautiful poem about snow and winter and his horse on a hot summer day? This was very important property for Frost and an important time in his life. He wrote a lot of poetry during this time. The house sits on 7 acres and still retains some of Robert Frost's original apple trees that he planted when he moved there. And it's a museum. It's all dedicated to his life and his poetry and everything Robert Frost. It's called Stonehouse. It is in Shaftesbury, Vermont. That's where he was living, in this house, when he wrote that poem.
That's one of the 2 states that I have not been in.
Okay. Well, I think it's a very beautiful
and I
state.
wanted to.
Yeah.
That last trip that I took.
Robert Frost felt the representation of rural life was essential to understanding America. America's beloved poet died in Boston on January the 29th, 1963, at the age of 88. As a poet of natural beauty, wonder, and the understated, he was an all-time master. I really like his poetry, poems a lot. Stopping by woods on a snowy evening. I have another story I want to read to you. It's called A Dusting of Snow, and it's about a lady who woke up one morning to a dusting of snow on the ground, and she decided to go out for a walk. Emma looked out her window one cold winter morning and saw a dusting of snow. Perhaps an inch deep, it was just enough to create a nice white blanket across the yard. This is what Emma saw out her front window. Beautiful, isn't it? Especially if you're inside a warm house, looking at it from the inside. So that's what Emma saw. It was pristine and crisp and clear. It looked beautiful. She decided she was going to take a walk this morning. Well, she got her hat on, she got her coat on, she got her scarf on, she got her gloves on, she got her galoshes on. She had so many layers of clothing on that she almost felt like she was waddling instead of walking. She had so much on. She went outside and she blew a breath. You remember doing that as a little child? And you'd see your breath. She did that. She could see it, a puff of steam.
Smoking.
That's right. Did you hear what she said? She said sometimes we would pretend as children that we were smoking with our breath. I can remember doing that, waiting on the school bus. A puff of steam rolled out of her mouth, and that caused her to smile. Satisfied that she was a human fog machine, she started following a trail. She approached the tree line of a wooden area, and a flash of red caught her eye. She knew what she hoped it was. But she didn't want to get her hopes up. Very slowly, she looked up toward the trees to see if her guess was right. And what do you know? She was right. What do you think she saw up in a tree that would be
A red cardinal.
Very good. That's right. She saw a beautiful, stunning red cardinal. It sat perched on an evergreen branch, not moving. Its red was a shiny crimson. The black around its beak was deep and sharp. The crest on the top of its head stood up at attention. What a lovely sight. Now this was a male cardinal. Females, they're not as flashy as the male. They're more of a pale brown, aren't they? Yes. Cardinals can often be seen in pairs. But this young man was there by himself. Emma had read that cardinals love to eat bird seed from feeders, and if they can't find any seed, they'll feast on insects and grain and fruit and even sap. They're so beautiful and exquisite. Did you all know that 7 states have the red bird or the cardinal as their state bird?
I can't believe that.
Yeah. Emma stood in silence, waiting to see if the red bird would sing. Researchers have identified 12 distinct cardinal songs that are repeated over and over again. A chirpy melody rang out over the still air, and it sounded like doo, dee, 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 dee. The bird repeated it 3 times and then soared off. Maybe he was going to find his female friend. Well, Emma kept on walking a little bit further down the path. She took a deep breath of that fresh winter air and kind of checked on how she was feeling. Not too bad. Emma got tired if she walked too far, but so far she was doing okay, so she decided to walk a little bit further. She looked down at the ground and a tiny pop of purple was visible in the snow. Purple in wintertime? She squinted her eyes to see it a little bit more clearly. She was going to have to get closer. Well, as she approached, a huge smile took over her face. She had not expected such a beautiful treat. The most gorgeous sprig of crocuses were darting out of the light snowfall, bright as anything. They shimmered like amethyst. Now, did any of you all ever grow or have crocuses in your garden, in your yard? They stood up from the ground as if to say, "We're going to stand up even in the snow." Emma remembered hearing that some types of crocuses bloom in the late fall, and that's what these little flowers must have been. Perhaps they weren't aware that winter had come. Emma looked at the beautiful purple flowers and how the color of purple contrasted with the winter snow. She thought maybe it was time to go back home. She'd seen the red cardinals. She'd seen the purple crocuses. But then she looked down and saw some little tracks in the snow. She thought to herself, wonder where they lead. From what she could see, the small paw prints had stopped at a snow-covered stack of thick scrub. Tiny ice crystals had formed on the thin branches, creating a tiny winter wonderland for whatever woodland animal decided to call this place home. There was a gentle stirring noise. Then, lo and behold, a tiny nose popped out from the branches. Keeping very still, Emma watched as a pair of eyes appeared, and the body soon followed. The most charming rabbit had stepped forward. She was sturdy and a bit plump, and her ears stood at attention. She looked at Emma as if to say, "May I help you? What can I do for you?" Her eyes were very friendly, and she stood sitting there as if waiting for Emma to answer. Well, Emma did not want to scare her off, but she wanted to have a little fun, so she said in a very quiet voice, "I see you. I found you." It looked like the bunny was wiggling her nose. Her expression was very calm, as if to say, "That's just fine." Emma was so excited that she'd had a beautiful walk. in just a dusting of snow. She'd seen a beautiful red cardinal. She'd seen beautiful purple flowers. And then she had seen this little bunny rabbit. Emma appreciated the chance to notice the beauty of wintertime. The little bunny's nose twitched once more. Emma got a huge smile on her face, so happy to have seen that little bunny rabbit, and decided it was time to head back home. A blanket of snow is like an artist brushing thick, shiny white paint all over his canvas. Isn't that true? And what a treat to get to see some bright, pretty colors on a cold winter day. It's pretty outside today.
Plants that can bloom and stuff.
That's right.
And believe it or not, push their little heads up for the snow.
That's right.
And
You're right.
how delicate.
You're right. And sometimes there are purple pansies, aren't there? She's sharing with us that pansies also will shoot up in the snow sometimes.
Yeah,
Yes.
purple and yellows. Yeah, they're beautiful.
That's right.
The first time I saw them, I thought, those delicate little things coming up through the snow, that is unbelievable.
You're absolutely right.
Beautiful.
You're absolutely right. Well, I want to finish today. You all have been so kind and to listen and to laugh and sing and share.
Enjoy this.
I want to finish with one more point. The new year. May the year that is dawning, so fresh and so pure, be full of the pleasures that always endure. The sunshine of love, the joy of kind deeds, the brightness of smiles that the sad world so needs. The kindly word uttered, the angry unspoken, the merry heart's laughter to heal the hearts broken. And when the new year has grown old and gray, may you give it back spotless, as pure as today. I'm always so glad to come and visit with you friends and be here at the neighborhood, and I hope that I'll get to come back next month on a Monday, and we'll talk about all things February. Can you believe we'll already be in the month of February? Thank you all. Thank you so much. It's been good to be with you.